think about what is missing in your life and you talk to your friends about it and you put your attention and your energy on it in your telephone conversations and you go to sleep thinking about what is missing and you have this kind of an energy system going on for you, you will continue to have what you are thinking about show up in your life, and you'll see more and more and more of missingness continue to show up. You can't think about and put your energy on what is missing unless you want it to keep being that way in your life. So that's the first thing you want to shift. That's the first obstacle to reaching this state of what I call intention. Secondly, if you put your thoughts on what is, you will continue to attract what is into your life. Now, I'm going to suggest something very strange up here right now. I told you when it gets weird, that you have the ability to put your attention on an inner mantra that I have recorded in a CD called Meditations for Manifesting, that came to me from a teacher 2,300 years ago named Patanjali in India, who taught people at that time, when this is before the Middle Ages, this was like when people hadn't been out of caves too long, was teaching people how to levitate, and was teaching people how to bilocate, and was teaching people how to have the gift of fish and loaves 300 years before Jesus showed up on this planet. And his aphorisms of Patanjali are a big part of the spiritual solution to every problem. And what he suggested at that time is a meditation called japa. And this meditation is something where you take your attention, your inner energy, off of what is and onto what you intend to manifest, and you repeat the sound that is in the name of God as an inner mantra. And by repeating this sound, you attract the energy from outside of yourself, that is the source from which you emanated, to cooperate with you and literally collaborate with you to shift it into whatever it is that you intend to manifest. And you can do this with money. You can do this with getting pregnant if you haven't been able to do that. You can get it with selling your home. You can get it, and if you take a look at 300 years later, 400 years later, John the Baptist writes in the New Testament the opening line of the of the book of John in the New Testament. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. As strange as it may sound to you, based upon the conditioning that you have had, just like Ivan Illich, the repetition of the sound as an inner mantra is a way of getting in the gap. And it is a way of, when you repeat this sound, attracting whatever energy, that dormant forces that are out there, into your life to have whatever you need show up. And all I can say to you is, I stand up here before you tonight from my heart telling you that it has always worked for me. It is a meditation practice. It is so powerful, and I can't tell you how many people have been practicing it, including Gary, who spoke to you here today. And there is absolutely no limit to what you can attract into your life simply by practicing it. I have put it on CD. I put it in Getting in the Gap. I teach it. I donate all of the proceeds from it to charities because I was asked to teach it, but to take no money for it. And I've been doing it for several years now. If your thoughts are on what is, let's just say you've got a disease process. Cancer, arthritis, the flu, a cold. If your thoughts are on, if you get a sniffle and your thoughts are on, this is in my nose today, but tomorrow it'll be in my throat. On Wednesday, it'll be down in my chest. On Thursday, I'll probably have a fever. I'm going to have to take Friday off. Now, it's Monday morning. and you've got a sniffle, and in your mind you're taking Friday off with a fever. If this is how you have trained your mind to work, to put your attention on the circumstances of your life, self-actualizing people, Abraham Maslow was a great teacher of mine. I was blessed to know him. I was blessed to be one of his devotees. He died on the 14th of June, 1970, in the same hour that I walked across the stage at Cobo Hall in Detroit receiving my PhD. In the same hour. He passed the baton on. He said, I've taught self-actualization to the academic world. Now you take it to the masses. And Maslow said, self-actualizing people are distinguished from everybody else with this sentence: they must be what they can be. They must be what they can be. And one of those 10 secrets for success and inner peace is that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. And know this, that your mind created everything in your life that you call a problem. And self-actualizing, highly functioning people who live at these extremely, extraordinarily high levels of consciousness never put their thoughts on what is if they don't like what is. Because if your thoughts are on what is, and you despise what is, and if you look at poor people, if you look at unsuccessful people, if you look at sickly people, if you look at tired people, if you look at addicted people, you will see people who put their attention constantly on their problems, on what is wrong, on what isn't working, on what I can't do, and so on. They'll tell you about it, they'll focus on it, and when your thoughts are on what is, and what you think about is what expands, you continue to attract more of what is into your life. When I had a practice, I had a woman who came to me who said, I just went through a divorce 7 months ago, and I've been dating, and I've dated 4 different men, and all 4 of them have used me as a sex object. And every single one of them called me up after the first date and were mistreating me, and they didn't have any respect for me, and that was the end of it. And she said, I'd like you to talk to all 4 of these men. And I said, there's only one common denominator here. You are attracting into your life what you are putting your attention on. It's called the Job effect. You can't think about what is missing, and you can't think and put your energy and talk about what is if you don't like what is. Can't do that unless you want more of that to show up. Third, you cannot put your attention or your thoughts or your energy on what always has been. If you put your thoughts or your energy on what always has been is what will continue to show up into your life. What always has been is the wake of a boat. Your life is a boat. It's heading up the river in that direction. And it's heading there at 40 knots. And you're standing on the stern, and you're looking down at the water, and as the boat goes in this direction, here you are looking down into the water, and what do you see? You see the wake. And what is the wake? The wake is the trail that is left behind. That's what the wake of your life is. That's what the wake of the boat is. And if you ask yourself the question, what's driving the boat? What's making this thing head in this direction? The answer is the present moment energy that is being generated by the engine, and nothing more is what's making the boat go in this direction. And then if you ask yourself this key question, is it possible for the wake to drive the boat? Can a trail that is left behind make a boat go in this direction? What's the answer? Impossible, isn't it? And so too is it impossible for the wake of your life, the trail that you've left behind, to be the reason why your life is going in this direction. It is not because of anything that has happened back here. That's an illusion that we live under. What has happened back here is a trail. The choices you make in this moment. And if your thoughts are on what always has been, this is the way we've always done things, this is the kind of person I am, I can't change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, all of those cliches that have become so much a part of our life, if your thoughts are on what always has been, and you despise what always has been, you will continue to attract more of what always has been, even though you despise it. It works that way. So you can't think about what's missing, what is, and what always has been. And it gets worse. You cannot think about and put your attention on what they want or expect for you if you want that to change in your life. And there's no shortage of people who have an opinion about what it is that you should be or shouldn't be or how you should be doing it. Most of these are your relatives. I have a wonderful book in mind to write. It's called Your Friends Are God's Way of Apologizing for Your Relatives. But if I talk to your relatives, they laugh too. So we all have this idea that the reason I'm not getting where I'd like to be, particularly with young people and working with young people over the years, it's because my parents want this, or my parents think that, or my parents won't let me do this. And I always said, well, but why are you so attached to what your parents think? Well, these are my parents, and I have to do it. I said, you can listen to it, you can take it in, but you don't have to embrace it. You don't have to live by that. And certainly when you become adults, when if there are people out there who convince you that you should or shouldn't be doing this or that, then you're going to continue to attract exactly what it is that they have their attention on. So if you put your thoughts on what they want for you, you tell everybody else about how it makes you go from being blissed to pissed just by being in their presence, just by being on the telephone with them. That person, that in-law, that mother, that father, that grandparent, that child, that whoever it might be, is giving you, or even your neighbors or your friends or whomever, your coworkers, are telling you what you should or shouldn't be, and you don't like the advice that they're giving, and you resent very strongly. One of the 10 secrets for success and inner peace says there are no justified resentments. Your resentments are things that destroy you. So if your thoughts are on what they want for you, and what they want for you is something you don't like, you will continue to attract more of and use the attractor energy of the universe to attract more of what they want for you, even though you are upset about it. So here you go. There are 4 things that you can't do with your mind if you want to move into this state of intention that I'll be speaking about tomorrow. And these are: you cannot put your thoughts on what's missing, on the circumstances of your life, on what you always have been, or what others want for you. So you have to learn to do a somersault into the inconceivable and only put your thoughts or your attention on what you intend to manifest for yourself. Every thought that you have is an energy. Everything in the universe is an energy. And when you have a thought that is a thought that weakens you, which Hawkins speaks about so brilliantly in Power versus Force, that thought, the 10th secret in 10 Secrets says, wisdom is avoiding all thoughts which weaken you. And thoughts change and make you strong or weak depending upon whether or not what you're thinking at any given moment. The instant that you put something into your body and hold it close to it, the moment that you move into the energy field of someone who is negative, and I'll be speaking more about this tomorrow afternoon and doing a little bit more of demonstration on it, that everything in this universe is an energy. I have the prayer of St. Francis on which I'll be reciting tomorrow, and Sky will sing for you tomorrow, on a card that is produced by a woman who lives in a wheelchair. And also, and all it takes is to be in the energy field. If I had Linda hold this up next to her, it would strengthen her. Just the words. Energy is in everything. And here's one of the most powerful notions about how you move into this area of bringing higher energy to the presence of lower energy in your life to strengthen rather than weaken you. It was on the wall of the ashram where Mother Teresa lived. And it goes like this. If you want to know tonight what to do and what to think and how to bring this energy to you, listen to these words. And put these, as I said, the money that's collected on these goes to a woman who lives in a wheelchair, who has the intention to not be dependent. And you stick this on there, and you know, your children just have to walk by these words. and the energy it touches and impacts them. Just like the music, the CD, even carrying it around. It's why I knew that Sky's CD would strengthen rather than weaken. You can take the Prayer of St. Francis, which she sings on there, put that on in your car and play it in a moment of frustration or anguish in traffic, and you know what? You can move the traffic. I know you laugh and you think that that kind of thing is impossible. There is nothing that you can't do when you shift your energy from energies that weaken to energies that strengthen. And this is what Kent Keith had written and what Mother Teresa lived by. She said, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone may destroy overnight. That's particularly relevant in America, isn't it? Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you have anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it's all between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway.
There is a time to speak and a time to remain silent, a time to declare and a time to keep the mystery hidden within. The greatest power is often found not in what is spoken, but in what is withheld. The world has trained you to believe that every thought, every desire, every dream must be shared, announced and affirmed by the voices of others. But God is whispering to you now, be silent. Guard what He has placed within you, for not everyone is meant to hear it. The sacred dreams planted in your heart are not for public display. They are the seeds of your destiny, fragile and precious. When a seed is planted in the soil, it is buried in darkness. It is unseen, unknown, and untouched by the hands of men. Yet within that quiet space, it takes root and begins to grow. If the soil is disturbed too soon, if the seed is exposed before it is ready, it will never reach its full potential. The same is true for you. The visions God has given you must be nurtured in silence, for speaking too soon can invite forces that seek to uproot them. There are those who do not wish to see you rise, people who pretend to celebrate you, but secretly envy the blessings forming in your life. Even those closest to you may not understand the magnitude of what God is doing in you. The moment you reveal too much, you allow doubt, fear, and opposition to creep in. Some will discourage you, others will mock you, and some will work against you without you even knowing. Not because they are stronger than you, but because you gave them the key to your own destruction by speaking too soon. Look at the great figures of faith. How many of them walked in silence before their appointed time? Joseph had a dream of greatness, but when he shared it with his brothers, he was thrown into a pit. Not everyone is prepared to hear what God has whispered to you. Not everyone is worthy of knowing what He is unfolding in your life. There is wisdom in silence. There is power in restraint. When you keep your revelation between you and God, you protect it from the corrupting influence of outside opinions. The world will tell you that transparency is strength, that honesty is power, that revealing your plans makes you accountable. But God's wisdom is not the wisdom of the world. He calls you to move in silence, to walk by faith, to trust in the unseen. When the time is right, your blessings will speak for themselves. Your success will make the announcement for you. The work of God in your life will be undeniable, and those who doubt it will stand in awe. Be still, trust in the process. Hold your vision close. Let God be the only one who truly knows the depths of your heart. There is a reason He speaks in whispers and not in shouts. The most profound transformations happen in silence. Your miracle is forming, your destiny is unfolding. And the less you reveal, the more you allow God to work in ways beyond human understanding. The greatest works of God are performed in silence. The turning of the earth, the rising of the sun, the blooming of a flower, all unfold without a sound. Yet man, in his impatience, feels the need to speak, to reveal, to explain. He does not realize that the moment he exposes his inner world to the outer world, he invites into it. There are forces, both seen and unseen, that move against the plans of the divine, not because they are more powerful, but because they thrive on the ignorance of those who reveal too much. When God is working in your life, He often calls you into a season of quietness. It is not a punishment, but a protection. It is a shield against those who would misunderstand, against those who would plant seeds of doubt, against those who, knowingly or unknowingly, would try to hinder your progress. The moment you speak your dreams to those who do not carry the same vision, you risk contamination. Every careless word spoken, every detail shared too soon, is like exposing a newborn to a storm before it has developed the strength to stand. A man who understands the ways of God does not announce his every move. He walks with certainty, but he does not seek validation from those who do not share his faith. He knows that what is being formed within him is sacred, and sacred things are not for display. When a sculptor begins his work, he does not invite the world to see the unfinished form. He works in solitude, carving, shaping, refining, until the masterpiece is ready. Only then does he unveil it. The same principle applies to you. What God is building in you is not yet ready for the eyes of the world. It is in the process of being perfected, and if you reveal it too soon, you expose it to hands that may seek to alter or destroy it. Look at the wisdom of Jesus. He spoke in parables, not to conceal truth, but to reveal it only to those who were ready to understand. He performed miracles, but often instructed those he healed to tell no one. He moved in power, yet he did not boast. Even before his greatest victory, the resurrection, there was silence. 3 days in the tomb, 3 days of mystery, 3 days where the world believed the story was over. But the silence was not emptiness. It was the preparation for the manifestation of divine power. God moves in the unseen. His voice is a whisper, not a roar. His plans unfold like the tide, steady, yet unnoticed by those who are not paying attention. When He calls you into silence, it is not because He has forgotten you. It is because He is preparing you. He is aligning things in your favor. He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events that will bring you into the fullness of what He has promised. But if you speak too soon, if you share what is not yet meant to be revealed, you risk delaying what is meant for you. Not everyone around you is for you. Some will smile in your presence, but question your path in private. Some will encourage you to your face, but secretly hope you fail. Others will pretend to understand, but will fill your heart with doubt when you are most vulnerable. It is not because they are evil, but because they do not see what you see. They do not carry the revelation you carry. And so they speak from their own limitations, their own fears, their own doubts. If you are not careful, their words will take root in your mind, and what was once a burning flame of faith will become a flickering ember. Silence is a strategy. It is not weakness. It is wisdom. A lion does not roar before it captures its prey. A warrior does not reveal his strategy before the battle. The wise do not speak of their plans until they have already set them in motion. You must learn to protect what is sacred. You must learn to move in silence, to guard your words, to trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by, even if no one else knows about it. There will be times when you feel the urge to explain yourself, to prove yourself, to let the world know what is happening within you. Resist the temptation. Your growth does not require an audience. Your transformation does not need applause. Let your success be your voice. Let the manifestation of God's promises in your life be the testimony that speaks for you. The enemy is always listening, waiting for an opportunity to sow confusion, to stir doubt, to create obstacles. He does not need to attack what he does not know exists. This is why those who move in silence often rise above those who seek constant validation. They understand that revelation is not for everyone. There is a time for speaking, and there is a time for waiting. There is a time for declaring, and there is a time for remaining hidden. Must discern which season you are in. Think of the caterpillar that enters the cocoon. It does not announce its transformation. It does not seek approval for the change that is taking place within. It simply surrenders to the process, trusting that in due time it will emerge as something greater. If the cocoon is broken too soon, the butterfly will never take flight. The process must be completed in secrecy, in stillness, in the sacred space where God does his most profound work. You are in a cocoon of divine preparation. Do not be in a hurry to reveal what is not yet finished. Trust in the timing of God. Trust that when it is time, he will bring you forth in a way that no one can deny. Until then, hold your peace. Walk in faith. Speak only to God. Let your silence be your strength. The world may not understand, but that does not matter. What matters is that you are aligned with divine wisdom. What matters is that you are protecting what has been placed within you. Be still. Be silent. Be careful with whom you share your dreams. Not everyone is meant to know what God has spoken to you. The less you reveal, the more he can do. The quieter you are, the louder his work will speak when the time is right. What is forming in you is too great to be wasted on ears that do not understand. Hold it close. Cherish it. Let it grow in the secret place, and when the time comes, the world will see what God has done in you without you ever having to say a word. There is a reason God calls you to silence. He knows the weight of what he has placed within you, and he knows the dangers of revealing it too soon. Every word spoken is a seed cast into the world, and not every ground is fertile. Some seeds fall on rocky soil, where doubt and fear choke them before they can take root. Some fall among thorns, where the jealousy and negativity of others will strangle them before they can grow. But the seeds kept in the secret place, the seeds nurtured in faith and protected by silence, will flourish in ways beyond imagination. God does not reveal his plans to the world before they are complete. When he formed creation, he did not call a council. He spoke within himself, and in the silence of eternity, the universe took shape. If the Almighty himself operates in divine secrecy, how much more should you? If the Creator of all things moves in silence, allowing his works to manifest in perfect time, how much more should you guard the mysteries he has entrusted to you? There are forces in this world that thrive on premature revelation. The enemy cannot stop what God has ordained, but he can interfere, he can delay, he can plant distractions in your path to weaken your faith. He does not need to destroy the vision. He only needs to make you question it. And how does he do this? Through the words of others, through the doubts they speak into your life, through the opinions of those who do not see what you see. When Joseph shared his dream, he believed he was speaking to those who would rejoice with him. Instead, he awakened envy, and his own brothers sought to destroy him. Had he remained silent, his path might have unfolded differently. His destiny was still fulfilled, but his journey was marked by betrayal and hardship. Even so, God used it all for good. But learn from his story. Understand that not every revelation is meant to be shared. Some things are for you and God alone. When Nehemiah set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he did not announce his plans to everyone. He surveyed the land in silence, moving carefully discerning who was for him and who was against him. He understood the power of secrecy. He knew that not everyone who smiles in your presence is aligned with your purpose. He waited until the work was already in motion before revealing his intentions. This is wisdom. This is divine strategy. This is the way of those who walk in alignment with God. Silence is not passivity, it is strength. It is the shield that guards your faith, the barrier that protects your vision. When you speak too soon, you invite resistance before the foundation has even been laid. When you reveal too much, you expose yourself to voices that can weaken your confidence. But when you hold your peace, when you trust in God's perfect timing, you give Him the space to work freely, without interference, without interruption. There will be moments when the urge to share overwhelms you, when you feel the need to explain yourself, to justify your journey, to seek affirmation from those around you. Resist the temptation. The validation of man is fleeting. The approval of people is fickle. One moment they will praise you, and the next they will question your worth. Do not build your foundation on the shifting sands of human opinion. Stand firm in the quiet assurance that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of spiritual maturity. The more you grow in faith, the more you will understand that some things are too sacred to be spoken prematurely. Some dreams are too divine to be exposed to the doubt of unbelieving hearts. Some promises are too precious to be laid bare before those who cannot comprehend their significance. Do not mistake silence for inaction. Just because you are not speaking does not mean you are not moving. Just because you are not announcing does not mean you are not advancing. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen in the quiet. Some of the most powerful transformations take place in the unseen. Just as a tree grows its roots deep into the earth before it ever breaks the surface, your foundation must be established in silence before your success is made visible. Look at the example of Jesus. He often withdrew to lonely places to pray. He did not seek crowds when he needed clarity. He did not broadcast his every move. Even when he performed miracles, he would sometimes instruct those he healed to say nothing. He understood the weight of divine timing. He knew that some things must be hidden before they can be revealed. He knew that the power of God moves most profoundly in the quiet places, away from the noise of the world. If you truly trust God, you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. You do not need to explain what He is doing in your life. You do not need to justify your journey. Let your fruit speak for itself. Let your results be your testimony. Let your transformation be the evidence of God's hand upon you. Those who doubt it will see. Those who question will understand. And those who sought to hinder you will be silenced, not by your words, but by the undeniable manifestation of God's power in your life. Be patient. Be still. Be silent. The greatest victories are not announced before they are won. The most powerful moves of God often begin in obscurity. Do not despise the hidden seasons. Do not rush the process. Do not seek the approval of those who were never meant to walk your path. What God has begun in you, He will bring to completion. And when the time is right, the world will see what He has done, and they will know that it was never by your power, but by His. Until then, guard your heart, guard your words, guard the vision that has been placed within you, move in wisdom, walk in faith, and trust that the silence you keep today is the foundation of the greatness that will be revealed in due time. There is a sacredness in keeping silent. The world teaches that you must speak to be seen, that you must announce your plans, declare your dreams, and seek validation. But the ways of God are higher than the ways of man. The greatest works of God often begin in stillness, hidden from the eyes of the world, growing in power before they are revealed. When a seed is planted, it does not cry out for recognition. It does not demand that the world take notice of its potential. It remains buried beneath the earth unseen, as its roots grow deep and strong. It is in the darkness of the soil that it is prepared for the light. The same is true for you. What God has placed within you must be nurtured in silence before it can be revealed in glory. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone is equipped to receive the vision that God has given you. There are those who will misunderstand, those who will mock, and those who, out of their own insecurity, will attempt to discourage you. Some will disguise their doubt as concern. Some will speak words that seem wise, but are laced with fear. Others will openly oppose you, hoping to shake your confidence before you have even begun. But their words hold no power unless you allow them to take root in your mind. God is not a God of confusion. When He speaks, He does so with clarity. If He has revealed something to you, it is not for the approval of man. It is not for discussion or debate. It is for you to guard and nurture until the appointed time. There is wisdom in moving in silence, in allowing God to order your steps without interference. The noise of others can drown out the voice of God if you allow it. The opinions of people can create doubt where there was once certainty. Even Jesus, the Son of God, understood the importance of silence. Before He began His public ministry, He spent time alone in the wilderness. He did not seek the validation of men. He sought communion with the Father. He understood that His mission was too great to be tainted by human opinion. He moved in wisdom, revealing only what was necessary at the right time. There were moments when He healed and instructed the healed to tell no one. There were truths He shared only with His closest disciples. He knew that revelation must come at the right time to the right people. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. It is a shield that protects your faith, a boundary that guards your destiny. Do not be quick to reveal what God has placed within you. Do not expose the sacred to those who cannot see its value. Even Joseph, when he shared his dreams with his brothers, faced betrayal. They could not handle the vision God had given him. They could not rejoice in what was to come, and so they sought to destroy what they did not understand. You must learn the art of spiritual discretion. Just as a warrior does not reveal his strategy to his enemy, you must not reveal your purpose before it's time. There are battles you will face that require silence. There are victories that will only be won when you allow God to fight for you. If you speak too soon, you may invite opposition that you are not yet prepared to withstand. If you reveal too much, you may awaken resistance before your foundation is fully established. The enemy does not fear what he does not know. When you keep silent, you move without obstruction. When you guard your words, you walk in divine protection. The moment you speak, you alert those who seek to hinder you. There are unseen forces that move against those who carry great purpose. The higher your calling, the greater the opposition. But the silent ones, the wise ones, the patient ones, they move forward while others are distracted. They build in secret while others seek attention. They grow strong in the quiet, and when the time comes, they rise with unstoppable power. There is a time to speak, but there is also a time to remain silent. Even the mighty eagle does not announce its flight. It rises above the storm without a sound. It does not flap its wings in frantic motion, nor does it seek the approval of those below. It soars effortlessly, carried by the wind. This is how you must move, in the quiet confidence that God is lifting you, in the assurance that your elevation is not dependent on the recognition of others. Some will question your silence. They will wonder why you do not explain yourself, why you do not seek their input. But they do not need to understand. The path God has set before you is not for everyone to walk. If they were meant to see, He would have revealed it to them. If they were meant to know, He would have spoken to them. But He chose you. He entrusted you with this vision, and so you must protect it with all that you have. Do not be discouraged when people do not support you. Do not be shaken when others do not see what you see. Your purpose is not dependent on their understanding. Your destiny is not in their hands. The only validation you need is the confirmation that comes from God. And when you have that, no other opinion matters. There is power in moving in silence, in allowing your actions to speak louder than your words. When the time comes, your success will be undeniable. Those who doubted you will see. Those who questioned you will understand. And those who sought to hinder you will realize that they never had the power to stop what God has ordained. Stay in the secret place, guard your heart, protect your vision, trust in the process, move in wisdom. And when the appointed time arrives, when the foundation is firm and the work is complete, the world will witness the fullness of what God has done in your life. And they will know that it was not by your might, not by your power, but by His divine hand that you have prevailed. When God places something within you, it is not meant to be scattered like seeds upon stony ground where birds may come and devour it. It is meant to be nurtured in the depths of your being, to take root and grow strong before it is ever exposed to the world. The moment you speak too soon, the moment you reveal what is still in its infancy, you risk allowing doubt, fear, and opposition to crush what was meant to flourish in silence. There is a reason God calls His people to seasons of stillness. He understands the delicate nature of what is growing within you. A tree does not bear fruit in its first days. It takes time. The roots must go deep before the branches can rise high. And in that time of unseen growth, there is no announcement, no declaration, only quiet preparation. This is the wisdom of God to work in the unseen before the manifestation becomes visible to the world. So many destroy their own blessings by speaking before the time. They feel the stirring of something great within them, and in their excitement they tell everyone. They share their vision, their plans, their dreams, only to find that others do not share their faith. They are met with skepticism, with words that plant seeds of doubt, and what was once a bright flame of confidence begins to flicker, slowly extinguished by the winds of opposition. There are those who cannot rejoice in what God is doing in your life because they are trapped in their own limitations. They do not see what you see. They cannot comprehend the magnitude of what is unfolding within you, and so they project their own fears onto you, not out of malice, but out of their own inability to believe. You must be careful who you share your vision with, for not everyone is equipped to handle it. Silence is not just protection, it is power. It allows you to move without interference. It allows you to build without distraction. It allows God to work without the contamination of human opinion. When Nehemiah set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he did not make an announcement. He did not tell everyone his plans. Instead, he moved in silence, surveying the city under the cover of night. He knew that if he spoke too soon, opposition would arise before the work had even begun. He understood that revelation must come at the appointed time, not before. Your silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. Every great work that God does begins in the secret place. Before Moses was called to lead, he spent years in the wilderness. Before David became king, he was alone, tending sheep. Before Paul spread the gospel, he spent time in solitude, receiving revelation. They were all hidden before they were revealed. They were all silent before they were heard. Even Jesus, before he performed his first miracle, kept silent about who he was. He did not go shouting in the streets, proclaiming his power. He waited until the appointed time. And even then, he often told those he healed to say nothing, because he understood the weight of timing. If the Son of God himself moved with such wisdom, how much more must we be careful with what we reveal and when? Some people will never be happy for you. Some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. Some will listen only to gather information, waiting for the opportunity to use it against you. It is not paranoia to guard what God has placed within you, it is discernment. The enemy does not need to attack what he cannot see, But the moment you expose what is meant to be hidden, you invite opposition that could have been avoided. Not everyone is meant to be a witness to your process. Some are only meant to see the finished work. Some will not understand the struggle, the sacrifices, the quiet nights spent in prayer, the tears cried in private, but that is not their concern. The journey is yours, and it is between you and God. Let them see the fruit when it is ready, but do not expose the seed before it has had time to grow. There will be moments when silence feels heavy, when you long to share, when you want validation, encouragement, confirmation from those around you, but that is the test. Can you trust that God's voice is enough? Can you move without the applause of men? Can you build without recognition? Can you hold on to the promise even when no one else sees it? When you keep silent, you give yourself space to hear God more clearly. You remove the distractions of opinions, the noise of doubt, the weight of unnecessary questions. You position yourself to be led by the Spirit to move in alignment with divine timing. And when the time is right, when the work is complete, when God says, now there will be no stopping what He has ordained. Those who spoke against you will have no words. Those who doubted you will have no arguments. Those who opposed you will realize they were powerless against what God has established. And you will stand, not because you sought approval, not because you defended yourself, not because you explained, but because you trusted, you obeyed, you remained silent until the moment God chose to reveal His work in you. Let silence be your strategy. Let wisdom be your guide. Move with purpose, with patience, with the understanding that what God has given you is sacred. Do not waste your energy trying to convince others of what God has already confirmed. Do not seek validation from those who cannot comprehend your calling. Guard your vision, protect your dreams, and trust that in the right season, what was once hidden will be revealed in the full brilliance of God's perfect plan. There is an immeasurable power in restraint, in holding back what the world is eager to snatch away. The moment you speak, you give away a piece of what is sacred. Every word carries energy, and when you speak prematurely, you risk dispersing the very force that was meant to sustain your manifestation. Not everything that is revealed to you is meant to be shared. Not everything God whispers in your spirit should be proclaimed before its time. There is a divine order to all things. Before the earth was formed, there was silence. Before the Word spoke light into existence, there was stillness. Creation itself teaches us that what is powerful begins in the unseen, in the void, in the quiet depths where transformation occurs. And yet so many are eager to announce what God is doing before it has had time to take root. They feel the stirrings of change, the promise of something new, and instead of allowing it to develop in the secret place, they rush to declare it to the world. But what happens when you speak too soon? The moment you reveal what is meant to remain hidden, you invite forces that seek to derail you. You expose your dream to the weight of opinions, doubts, and expectations that were never meant to be part of its journey. You invite unnecessary battles, distractions, and delays. The enemy cannot attack what he does not know. He cannot oppose what he cannot see. But the moment you open your mouth, you give him access to what should have remained under God's protection. Consider Joseph, who was given a dream by God, a vision of his destiny, yet in his youthful excitement, he shared it too soon, revealing it to those who did not have the capacity to understand. And what was the result? Betrayal, envy, a journey into the pit. Though the dream was still fulfilled, the process was marked with suffering that could have been avoided had he exercised discretion. The lesson is clear. What God reveals to you is for you first. It is not for everyone. It is not for every season. It is for the appointed time. Some people listen to your dreams not to celebrate them, but to sabotage them. Some pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. Others, even with good intentions, cannot see beyond their own limitations and will project their fears onto you. And if you are not strong in your faith, if you are not firm in your conviction, their doubts will become your own. Their fears will infiltrate your spirit. Their discouragement will weaken your resolve. And what was once a certainty in your heart will begin to feel like an impossibility. This is why silence is wisdom. Silence is a shield. It guards what is sacred. It allows God to complete His work in you without interference. Look at the greatest manifestations in Scripture, the miracles, the breakthroughs, the divine interventions. So many of them happened in silence. The Israelites marched around Jericho without a word until the appointed time to shout. Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, was rendered mute until his son was born because God knew that his words of doubt could interfere with the prophecy. Even Jesus often withdrew from the crowds, performing miracles in secrecy, instructing those he healed to say nothing. There is a spiritual principle in this. What is divine must be protected. The process must be honored. The timing must be respected. When you move in silence, you allow God to go before you, to clear the path, to align every detail without disruption. You give yourself the space to hear Him clearly, to be guided without the noise of external voices. You step into a realm of trust, knowing that what He has promised, He will fulfill without the need for human validation. Silence does not mean inactivity. It does not mean stagnation. It means working, building, growing in the unseen. It means preparing in private so that when the time comes, what has been cultivated in the dark will shine with undeniable brilliance. When a seed is planted, it does not announce its progress. It does not seek recognition. It simply grows. Its roots go deep before the first sprout breaks through the surface. And when it finally emerges, it is strong, unshaken by the elements, because its foundation was established in silence. God is calling you to this kind of growth, to the kind of faith that does not need constant reassurance, to the kind of discipline that does not seek premature applause, to the kind of obedience that moves without explanation. The world has conditioned us to seek instant recognition, to share every step of our journey, to crave external approval. But the spiritual path is different. It is sacred. It requires moments of solitude, of quiet transformation, of unseen preparation. The challenge is this: can you trust God enough to remain silent? Can you resist the urge to explain yourself, to prove yourself, to defend what God has placed within you? Can you hold on to the vision even when no one else sees it? Can you endure the waiting season without seeking validation from those who do not understand your calling? The most powerful moves of God often happen without announcement. When David was anointed king, he did not take the throne immediately. He returned to the fields, tending sheep hidden from the eyes of the world. When Moses was called to lead, he spent years in the wilderness before confronting Pharaoh. When Jesus was born, His arrival was not in a palace with grand declarations, but in the quiet of a manger, witnessed only by those whom God chose to reveal it to. And so it is with you. What God is birthing in you does not require public approval. It does not need to be broadcasted. It needs to be nurtured, protected, and allowed to develop according to His divine timing. Speak when God says speak. Move when God says move. But until then, let your silence be your strength. Let it be your covering. Let it be the place where your faith is fortified, where your vision is sharpened, where your purpose is refined. Those who are truly called do not need to announce themselves. Their presence, their works, their results will speak in due time. Until then, remain in the secret place. Guard what has been entrusted to you, move with wisdom, walk in faith, and trust that when the moment of revelation comes, nothing and no one will be able to stop what God has ordained. There is a reason the greatest moments of transformation occur in solitude. The caterpillar enters the cocoon in silence, unseen by the world, and emerges as something entirely new. The foundation of a great building is laid beneath the surface, hidden from view, yet it determines the strength of what will rise above it. The most powerful storms are formed in quiet places, gathering their force before they ever make their presence known. So it is with the workings of God. What He has placed within you is not for everyone to see, not yet. The seed does not explain itself before it grows. The tree does not announce each new root that extends beneath the earth. The process is sacred. It must be shielded, nurtured, protected from external forces that do not understand its purpose. And yet, so many sabotage their own manifestations by speaking too soon, by revealing what should have remained hidden, by allowing the opinions of others to pollute what was meant to be pure. There is an unseen realm where the true work takes place. It is in the quiet moments of prayer, in the stillness of surrender, in the depths of unwavering belief that the future is being formed. But to bring it forth, one must learn restraint. One must resist the urge to speak before the time is right. The moment you share your vision, you invite energy that is not always aligned with its fulfillment. You give room for doubt, for interference, for unnecessary opposition. The enemy does not need to attack what he does not know. He does not need to fight what has not yet been revealed. Some battles you are facing are not because of what you are doing, but because of what you have spoken. Some delays are not because of God's timing, but because you have exposed the process too soon. Not everyone will celebrate your elevation. Not everyone will understand your calling. Even those with good intentions may plant seeds of fear, doubt, or hesitation without realizing the harm they cause. Their limitations are not yours to carry. Their disbelief is not yours to entertain. The greatest power is in stillness, in moving in silence, in guarding what is sacred. Jesus Himself understood this. He did not reveal His full identity at once. He moved in wisdom, discerning who could be trusted, who was ready, who could handle the truth of His mission. And even then, He often withdrew to pray alone, to commune with the Father in the secret place. If the Son of God exercised such caution, how much more should we? The world values noise, but the Spirit moves in stillness. The world craves validation, but faith requires trust. The world teaches us to seek recognition, but true power is in remaining hidden until the appointed time. This is not weakness, this is wisdom. It is the strength to know that what is unfolding within you is far greater than what others can see. It is the patience to allow God to complete His work without interference. When a child is forming in the womb, it is not exposed to the outside world. It grows in darkness, nourished in secret, unseen by all but the Creator. And only when it is fully developed, when it is ready to enter the world, does it make its arrival. What if the process were rushed? What if the child were forced into the world too soon? The result would be incomplete, fragile, unable to survive the very environment it was destined to inhabit. The same is true for what God is birthing in you. There is a time to speak, but there is also a time to remain silent. There is a time to act, but there is also a time to wait. Those who understand this principle move differently. They are not swayed by external noise. They do not feel the need to announce every step. They walk in quiet confidence, knowing that when the moment comes, their manifestation will speak for itself. Some doors open only in silence. Some breakthroughs happen only in stillness. Some miracles require solitude before they can be revealed. The Israelites did not march around Jericho with loud declarations. They walked in silence until the appointed time to shout. The walls did not fall because of their noise. They fell because of their obedience. They fell because they understood the power of restraint, the power of divine timing, the power of moving in accordance with God's instruction rather than human impulse. God is calling you to this kind of faith, a faith that does not need immediate recognition, a faith that does not seek human approval, a faith that trusts in the unseen, that allows the process to unfold without interference, that understands the value of secrecy in a world that demands constant exposure. There is strength in keeping quiet. There is wisdom in holding back. There is power in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Do not allow impatience to push you into revealing what should be hidden. Do not let the need for validation make you expose what should be guarded. Move with intention. Protect your vision. Let your silence be a fortress around what God is building in you. And when the time is right, when the work is complete, when the manifestation is undeniable, you will not need to explain yourself. What God has done will speak for itself. In the end, silence is not emptiness, it is power. It is the space where faith is tested, where visions are protected, where miracles are formed. What God is doing in your life does not require the approval or understanding of others. It only requires your trust. Let the world wonder. Let them question. Let them speculate. Your silence is not weakness. It is the shield that guards your destiny. When the time comes, your transformation will be undeniable, your elevation unmistakable, your manifestation unstoppable. Until then, move in wisdom, walk in faith, and trust that what is hidden now will be revealed in glory.